Hello everyone, it's Damon, Crazy Logics 007 on YouTube and Crazy Logics in the forum. Uh, got a huge 7K amplifier here. It's a SPL Dynamics 7K, and fix my stuff there. See if I can. This driver board, which is one of these. I'm going to do a little showing you how to solder and desolder the chips and desolder the boards correctly. If you watch the SCAR video, you know we pulled one little via. It wasn't a critical via, so it was okay, but I want to show you how to use the solder alloy and use your regular leaded solder to do some of this correctly. So we're going to move this out of the way, adjust our screen, carefully pick up the board. Support it and get it flipped over here. And slide you guys in. Hopefully the glare, let's see, taking that off. Oops, no, there's a fluorescent light right above me. So anyway, thermal paste all over my hands. I've even cleaned this thing already some and it still gets it all over me. So anyway, let's see if we can set up the cam here and get a good shot. So those are the pins we're going to be working on. See if we can get a little. I just wanting to focus on this, not that. That's getting me. Stick a fat underneath there, maybe. All right. There we go. Now we're on it. So you should be able to see we're working right here. And so I'm going to take regular leaded solder with my soldering iron here. We're going to use this alloy, but the first thing we're going to do, I need my glasses because I'm old and crap. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is get a little solder to each of these pins. And a couple reasons we're doing that. One is to lower the melting point of the lead-free solder that is already there. And we're going to, anytime you remove a component from any kind of modern board, you absolutely need to be adding solder to it to lower its melting temperature and protect the pads and make it easier to remove. If you have a whole bunch of pads like this, or you're trying to remove a surface mount component, then you will use this alloy. So we tried the wiggle method back on that SCAR. I'm just not all that good at it. It's hard to get enough leaded solder in here to use the solder sucker to get it out around there. And if the pins were slightly bent when they inserted it and they're holding real tight, makes for a real mess. So I've added solder to all that. Clean it up. Now this, you can get this. This is rim alloy. It's also called Chip Quick. Chip Quick is a different brand of it, but you get 4.5. In this kit, you get about 4.5 feet for like 30 bucks. It's not cheap, but it works really fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up my big soldering iron, get it warming up. We're going to take a little of this, and we wanted extra solder on here so that this ends up all flowing together. See how this will get a bridge all through there. And Doesn't seem like we have enough solder. We'll add some solder. Because it doesn't take much of this alloy to do what we want to do. But, like I said, it is expensive. I'm just going to keep adding alloy until we get across all the pins. Up along this sucker. And we can add in some lead-free solder, a little bit more alloy until we get it good. And we get it all kind of bridged. So now we're done with the little soldering iron. Put our alloy away. And we hope our big soldering iron's heated up here. We can test it. Nope, it's not quite hot enough yet. Give it a minute. This is just a cheapo Habaco. So if I can turn this and get it to focus. And if you get that on eBay, no, not on eBay, sorry, Amazon, it will come with 2 tips and this thing for like 10 bucks. It's a really good soldering iron for the cheap. If you buy the tips separate, they're more expensive than buying the whole soldering iron. So I just bought a couple of these when my good big soldering iron died, because the tips for it are like 50 bucks and I could buy 5 of these for the same price. So now we're getting hot. And what we're going to do is we're going to run across all these and run across all that and all that. So you're going to see me, yeah, you can see in there the close-up zoom. And this alloy has lowered the melting point to the point where this will stay liquid for quite some time. And then we should be able to just drop it straight out. So we're just going to run it back and forth. And we're going to let it mix all the way through. Also, it'll get all the way down. It stays kind of liquid. Put a little pressure down on the board. It doesn't seem like there's enough staying there. We'll just add a little more. And if you got 2 soldering irons, it can help. Bring the other one in to help. You can also help with your hot air rework by going back and forth, because then you can kind of generally heat the whole thing up. Just whatever it takes. Get a little more alloy. And it'll kind of make a mess on the board. You're going to have to clean it when you get done, because this causes issues if you don't. The hot air. It's a really long board. There's a little extra. Man, you'll see that it just gets hot. Should start going back and forth. You can do it with your soldering iron. I did the last one that you just seen me hold up there with my soldering iron. Sometimes you have to add a little here and there and everywhere. Sometimes it works real easy and sometimes it don't. I'll twist it up now. That's not good. All the way along through there. I'm going to add a bunch of leaded solder. Start giving it a wiggle. It'll drop right out of there. You'll know you got it once it starts to wiggle just the tiniest bit. So then clean up the tip. And blammo. Now I'm going to do this camera thing like we did last time. Let's see if we have any vias. I can't tell if that's a via or just the chip quick. That's just the chip quick. Let me get over here where you guys can see. I was looking right here to see if that was a via. We don't got no via on there. Double check. Nope. Okay. So let's do that little daring thing I did last time. Now you'll see that this is all over these. The stuff is. So now what we need to do is very well clean off our soldering iron with our bristle. And I get my cheapo flux or desolder braid out. I get a little bit of flux because the cheapo solder braid does not come with it and doesn't do worth a darn without it. And where did I put my flux? There it is. And I'm going to stick flux down across there. And we're going to suck some of this stuff up. And it's going to suck up pretty good, pretty quick. Because it's low temperature, especially with that flux on it. Now, I want you to know something important because this happened on the last one and it was really cool. Some of that got onto this buildup of this silver trace, some of that low temperature stuff. So we're going to clean all that too. And then we'll just redo it with a little bit of solder. So we'll just go ahead and suck some of this up. Suck it off of anywhere that it got. So you don't want that stuff staying on there. I'll show you how to do the final suck up of it. Alright. So I'm just going to trim this off. Now, these are still hot. A lot of times I save solder braid to use as bridges placeware. You do not want to save this one that's got the low temperature stuff on it. It is toast, it's ruined, you don't want it. So now, to help get the last of that out of there, we're going to add more solder. You want to get all of this old stuff out, because we don't want solder joints being low temperature. If you're little soldering iron won't get it done, switch to your big one. Hope that wasn't even in the right spot. I don't know what I was doing over there. Here we go. Like I said, you got to keep cleaning your tips. If you could get a soldering iron separate for doing alloying, that would even be great. But I do know you want to clean it all off. There, that cleaned up. Putting some more leaded solder in there to mix with the last of the alloy, so we can suck it all up. Make sure you get plenty on there. Here, clean that up. And we've done that twice. Now we can add a little more solder back to it again, and then go after it with your solder sucker to clean out all the holes. And then you'll want to come back, and anywhere you got solder or got that and you desoldered it and you need to, like where this trace has been thickened up, thicken that back up with some solder, just like that. Just get that knot trace nice and thick again. Bam, that takes care of that. And the other part will be this, and you're going to do the same thing basically. You're going to get a little flux on it. I'll just do one little segment. I'll make this a shorter video as I can. Put a little flux on it. Run your braid across there. Clean that up as best you can. Then add some more regular solder. Mix with that. And desolder braid it again. You might have to do it with your good desolder braid. Here's my good desolder braid. Clean it up one last time because we want to be able to go in the holes real well. There we go, and it'll start to look really nice. So I can show you in the zoom. So there's one that's not been done, and then that alloy is really dull, and this one shines a little more. I don't know if you can see that there, maybe up here a little better. There's so much glare from the camera. These are all a lot duller than these. These have got leaded solder. These have got that alloy on it still. And so that's kind of how I tell. Once I can get rid of the dull and it gets a much shinier finish, that's much better. So last thing we're going to do, I'm going to see if I can zoom us in on this board. We're going to work right over here at the corner. Because I'm going to take one of these, show you how I take these chips off. So you can do it with the alloy. I only use the alloy to take chips off if I plan on reusing the chip, cleaning it all up and stuff, and that way I use a lot less heat into the chip, and that way there's less chance of damaging it. Now this amp seems to have killed its chips, or its chips are malfunctioning, so we just don't care. We're going to chuck them and replace them anyway. So I am going to go through, and this has got some other issues, but I just want to show you. I go through, I want to get that right where you can see, hopefully. I just add a bunch of solder all along the legs. Just keep dragging it over. End up with a whole bunch of solder goober on it. And drag it across there a few times to get it. And what you're doing is lowering that melting point. So let's show you up here in this window. See how I've drug some solder. I had it a little better, but I won't make that blob all the way across all those pins, kind of. If I have to add some more solder, I will. What we've done is lowered the melting point. And then we can come in with the hot air rework. Just add a little bit more, keeping it going. Get our tweezers. Just hold on to that sucker. We want to heat that whole board up. We don't want the board popping on us. You can cheat. Bring your soldering iron in and get the legs a little hot. Oop, there it moved on us. Get it just a little bit warm again, and there it comes off. Chips off. This one's going in the trash. I'll repeat that for all of them. And clean up. Where'd I put it? There we go. I use my good copper grade for this. Chemtronics is good quality solder braid for doing the important stuff. Use that. Get the big grooves off there. Clipping it off here again. Grab my soldering iron again, and now we're going to clean up every one of those pads real nice. I can keep them, keep it kind of focused in the two shots. I hope. Hopefully I won't have to redo this video. I got one more amp like this. I'm doing 3 of these big 7000s, all the same. Bam. Alright. And a little bit of rubbing alcohol when I clean this up. Now when I put these new chips on, I don't use rubbing alcohol. I use acetone to clean up after my mess because these chips are hydrophobic. And so we don't want to introduce any water to them after we've done. That should show up nice there. See if I can get it to focus. Get the glare off of it. Yeah, there we go. Bam, that chip is off there really nice. That's all cleaned up and ready for a new chip. And I've showed how I like to solder in chips by dabbing one leg, holding it down, fluxing both sides, and then running it. Puts the heat into the legs, not into the chip like the hot air would put more onto the chip. So anyway, that's the proper way to get these suckers off, but then you got to do all the cleanup. I think it's worth it because then you never have to worry about a pulled via. Like I said, this stuff's called Chip Quick, or this one's called Remalloy. It's all just a desolder alloy. Kind of pricey, but really handy if you have to salvage a chip. If these were known working chips on a good board and you had another board, maybe a 2 version of this, and it had bad chips and you wanted to steal 2 of these, I'd use a little of the solder flux or the alloy on there so it could come off real easy with just running my soldering iron on there. Basically clean it up with the solder wick, and then you know, retin it, and then put it onto the other board and stuff. So I only use it on the chips when I'm salvaging them, not for whenever I'm taking them off. But they work real good to keep these out. So now I'm ready to go through and, like I said, solder suck out all the holes here to make it clean and finish cleaning this all up and take it apart. But I wanted to show that, so that I showed one of these suckers coming out without taking a via, because I was kind of disgusted that I had one via pop out. Thankfully it wasn't a critical one, and it made good contact on the board where it needed to. So alright, well, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. I hope you learned something, and see you next time.